Committee will come to order. This is a hearing on transparency through technology, evaluating the Federal open government efforts. And let me read our mission statement for this committee so it will be very clear on why we are here. We exist as the Oversight and Government Reform to secure two fundamental principles. First, Americans have a right to know that the money Washington takes from them is well spent. Second, Americans deserve an efficient government that works for them. Our duty on the Oversight and Government Reform Committee is to protect these rights. Our solemn responsibility is to hold government accountable to taxpayers, because taxpayers have the right to know what they get from their government. We will work tirelessly in partnership with citizen watchdogs to deliver the facts to the American people and bring genuine reform to Federal bureaucracy. This is the mission of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. I'll make a quick statement of what I think we are headed towards today on that. Focus today's hearing, transparency through technology. The Oversight Committee has a strong history of promoting advancements in this area. During the 111th Congress, under the leadership of then-Chairman Towns and the Ranking Member Issa, the committee worked on a bipartisan basis to pursue technology-driven transparency initiatives. I look forward to continuing that work and joining the Administration in its efforts to fully implement its Open Government Directive and other transparency-related initiatives. President Obama, while in the Senate, joined Senator Coburn in shepherding the passage of the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act. This act required the Administration to create a single searchable website accessible by the public at no cost that would provide information on all transactions over $25,000. The result was USASpending.gov, first launched in December 2007. President Obama and Senator Coburn deserve great praise for having the foresight to mandate that the Federal Government use available technologies to meet the public's right to know how their tax dollars are being spent. Unfortunately, despite a number of expensive makeovers, USASpending.gov still fails to achieve the total goal 3 years after its launch because of some well-known data quality issues that we will discuss, I am sure, as we go through. Data for USASpending.gov comes from two sources, one that collects information from Federal agencies on contract expenditures and one that collects information from Federal agencies on grants, loans, and other spending. GAO has reported that these two data sources are riddled with errors, largely due to human error and a lack of agency oversight over its data submissions. The Administration's Data.gov initiative is similar to USASpending.gov. It is a commendable area and one that, in principle, I agree with wholeheartedly. The Federal Government collects and generates an enormous amount of data that is largely invisible to the American citizen but was paid for by the American citizen. This data is also invisible to the reporter or watchdog group that is trying to hold the government accountable, or the entrepreneur who might be able to take that data and create new products, services, or jobs in ways never contemplated by the Federal bureaucracy. Unfortunately, the implementation of Data.gov has not matched its promise. The Administration required agencies to publish at least 3 high-value data sets that had not previously been published. There was little guidance, however, as what constituted a high-value data set. As the Sunlight Foundation Director has said of this, the government has some pretty interesting ideas about what they regard as high-value data. The Department of the Interior seems to think that the population count of wild horses in burrows is a high value, but records of safety violations is not. We want to see data that can be used to hold the government and entities that report to it accountable. Data about spending, department missions, and personnel are noticeably absent from Data.gov. If this data was public, it would save time and expenses as groups request basic reports and data from their government. This is highlighted by an article in Politico yesterday detailing how a watchdog group has been requesting long-term budget projections from OMB that were available in previous years, but they are now being withheld. In addition to data quality and data value, I hope to discuss with our witnesses today the issue of data standards and interoperability among Federal data systems. If a taxpayer wants to look at how much an agency plans to spend on a particular program from and how much Congress ultimately appropriates, and then matches that figure with information from USA Spending on the organizations that receive funding from the program, and then compare that with the information on the impacts of the program from information published on Data.gov, he or she simply couldn't do it. These data systems lack the common data standards and are not interoperable. Not only do they lack a common data standard, they sometimes violate even the most basic data standards in areas like separating the state field from the address field to allow for easy searches. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today and hope that we can begin a fruitful discussion of what is working, what isn't, what are the next steps each of us should take to ensure that the Federal Government is utilizing all the technology available to provide true transparency to the American public. I do want to take this moment to commend the work done by OMB for Recovery.gov, Data.gov, and USASpending.gov. This is the first administration to make this kind of data available, and the first attempt will always have some errors. It is not our intent today to belittle the efforts of this administration, only to discover the important lessons learned and to hear the steps that are being taken to move things forward. I will now defer to the Ranking Member for his opening statement.